Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Pat and today I'm bringing you guys my April wrap up. Sorry, I kind of buffered there. It's April, yeah. Okay. Alright, for the month of April, I read a total of 12 books. I did mention last month that if I read 10 more books, I'm probably gonna do 2 parts of a wrap up, but I did read quite a few series this month, so I will be putting them together and reviewing them one at a time. So I have, for all the series that I finished this month, I will be doing reading vlogs. I do already have one of the reading vlogs up. The other one I'm still gonna be editing, and I have to do like the outro discussion part still. So that'll be up probably next week or next week. I don't know, but yes. Let's get started, shall we? We have a few books to cover. Alright, so the first one that I finished this month is Chain of Iron by Cassandra Clare. I rated this a 4.75 stars. I really enjoyed this one. I think it's very close to the first book, Chain of Gold, but I think I love Chain of Gold a little bit more. No, wait, hold on. No, wait. I think, they're very close, okay? They're very close. I don't want to spoil anything, but here we are following Cordelia Carstairs, who is the descendant of Emma Carstairs from the previous series that we had. And it started with demons killing people in London. It's set in London. It's set in the 1800s, I believe, if I remember that correctly. I borrowed the book from the library, so I don't have a physical copy of it, but I really love this one. We just explored more of the characters, especially with everything that changed after the first book. I don't want to spoil anything, but there's a lot of angst. There's a lot of painful but also lovely moments. Like, there's just a lot of pining, okay? And I just love how we have so much characters. They feel so real and I love them all so much. And even like the evil ones, I'm very compelled to like hear their story and see their perspective and hear their parts. So yeah, I really enjoyed Chain of Iron. Love that one. So the next one that I finished is The Beast by Katie Robert. This is part of the Wicked Villain series. It's an erotica companion series, fairy tale retellings, but with very spicy BDSM erotica twist. Here we're following Beauty and the Beast with Gaston, and I rated this a 3 stars. I enjoyed it. The thing about these books are they're really just for spice. So if you really just want spicy, sexy books, go ahead and read these. Not really for the plot. And character-wise, they're fine. But it really is just mostly about the spicy stuff. This has a polyamorous relationship, pretty much. And yeah, I've read the first one, which is a retelling of Aladdin, so I really like that one too. I mean, it's spicy. I like it. Although I think I really do prefer books that have more plot and more like character development in the story. But I love a good, smut, I guess. I don't know if I'm going to read any more books from this series, but yeah, if you like spicy books, go ahead and read this series. Okay, and the next one that I read, also borrowed from the library, is Bridge of Souls by Victoria Schwab. This is the 3rd book in the Cassie Blake trilogy. I believe it's a trilogy for now. V. Schwab did say that this is the final book for now, but there might be more books in the future, but we don't know yet. Like, V. Schwab doesn't really have plans anytime soon on releasing a new book in this series. So this is the last one so far, but I think there are gonna be more books because we have so much more to discover and learn about this world still. And I would love to see Cassidy Blake grow up, because this is middle grade, so she's like 12, and I would love to see her grow up. Maybe 2-3 more years of following her life would be great. Also, I love Jacob, okay? So I want more. Alright, the next book that I finished is Intuitive Eating by Evelyn Triboli and Elise Resch. This is a book that I have been reading since last year. I didn't really stop reading it because I didn't enjoy it, but because I think this is my 3rd time reading this book. I read the 3rd or 2nd edition last year, and then I listened to the audiobook version of the book. It's a shorter version of the book, following just mainly the principles of intuitive eating. I enjoyed this one. This one is the latest edition that they have. Okay, so the first time that I read this book was very emotional, very life-changing and eye-opening for me. I didn't realize how much of the diet culture has been ingrained in me growing up, and that really made me realize how bad my relationship is with food and eating in my body. And I always knew I had I didn't have a good relationship with my body and my weight and food, all that, but I didn't realize how bad it was until I read this book, Intuitive Eating. So I didn't even realize it. I feel like I thought I had a pretty good relationship already. Like, I had changed throughout the years. I still had a lot of really ingrained beliefs that are just destructive for me and my mental health and my body. So it was a very emotional read for me. I bought the handbook for this book. I have it right here, up here somewhere, and I do practice some of them. But because I did take a break from reading this, like I read halfway through it last year, but I kind of stopped. I did kind of, went back to some of my habits that are not very good, and then I read this again. I finished reading it, and this book is just pretty much the same thing as the previous editions, but this time included a lot more studies, a lot more research done on intuitive eating, just how beneficial it is for everybody. So if you haven't read this book, you can go ahead and listen to the audiobook. It's available in Leigh if you have Leigh app, and it's very short because it only focuses on the principles of intuitive eating, and it only takes 3 hours, and that's if you read it normal speed. It'll take you probably just a little over an hour, maybe an hour. Just speed it up. And it's very, very eye-opening and educational. So it's very short, and then I feel like you guys will have to read the book, If you're not a big fan of research stuff that's included in here, I would suggest reading maybe the second or third edition of this book, which is the one that I read first. There are some studies already on there, but not as much as this one. This is a lot longer because there's just a lot more studies done and a lot more case studies presented to prove the effectiveness and the positive effects of intuitive eating. So I highly recommend this book to anyone who's watching this, whether you think you have a good relationship with your body and eating and food. If you haven't read this one, please go read it. It was very educational, eye-opening for me, and it had made me realize just how much more work I need for myself, and I really cannot do it on my own. I thought I can, and I hate asking for help. I'm that type of person, but I realize I do really need professional help to kind of just process everything that's been going on in my head for years now that I don't even realize I need help with. So yeah, Intuitive Eating, please go read it. If you're gonna read one non-fiction book for this year, please read this one. And again, I would recommend the audiobook because that one's a lot faster, a lot shorter, and I feel like that will compel you to read the actual book itself. Yeah, so Intuitive Eating, please go read it. Alright. The next book that I finished, this is the first series that I finished for this month, and that is the Graceling Realm series, or Graceling, Fire, Bitter Blue, and Winterkeep. I decided to do a reread of Graceling, Fire, and Bitter Blue because Winterkeep just recently came out. I think came out last year. Yeah, so I've been wanting to do a reread of this one. I remember reading these books and loving them so much. It's one of the first high fantasy-ish YA high fantasy books that I've read and really, really love. It's like a whole entire beautiful world that I really enjoyed reading when I was in high school. It's been a while. So I rated Graceling 5 stars, Fire 5 stars, Bitter Blue 4 stars, and Winterkeep 5 stars. I think these are more like 4.75 stars, except maybe for Graceling and Fire. No, hold on. I think they're all pretty high 5 stars. Yeah, perfect 5 stars, I think. So I really enjoyed this one. Oh, and Intuitive Eating, obviously 5 stars. Highly recommended for everybody watching this video, whether you think you have a good relationship with your body or not. I feel like it's really eye-opening with things that we don't realize are bad for us, that has been perpetuated by the diet culture for hundreds of years now. So let's move on. Okay, Graceling. I love this book. I remember how much I love this, and I remember loving Poe and Katsa, and still the same. I love this one. I love it so much. So here in this Graceling Realm series, there are people with graces. And graces are basically people who have different abilities. And our main character in the first book, Graceling, she has the grace to kill. That's her grace. She becomes the kind of weapon of her uncle, who is the king of the country that she lives in. And then she meets Poe, who is a prince of the Leigh, I think that's how you say it, and they go on an adventure. I really love the characters here in this book. I enjoy them so much. I enjoyed reading from them, and yeah, I really love this series, especially the first book. Characters, the world, great. I love it so much. And there's it's really adventurous. There's a lot of things happening for the characters and with the characters, and I just love it so much. If you haven't read it, please go read it. It's beautifully written as well. It might be a bit difficult for some who are not yet used to fantasy books because it has a very different kind of writing, but I still really love it. It's beautiful written. And then the next book, Fire, I really love this one too. I rated this a 5 stars. I love our main character, Fire. We have to protect her. She's amazing. So here we're following characters on a different country. Now here, and it's a country with no Gracelings, but there are monsters who have the ability to manipulate and control people's minds and who are dangerous because they attract people. So we're following Fire, who is a half monster. They call them monsters. And she has this beautiful red, orange, pink hair. And it captures attention of a lot of people. And a lot of people are like attracted to her and kind of react to her in different ways. But just she experiences so much like abuse, like verbally and sometimes physically throughout this book. And she has a very kind heart, but because of her being a half monster and attracting people and creatures to her, it's a lot for her. And I love her. And also the romance here is so good. The romance in these books are so good. They're so good. So Bitter Blue is the next book, and I rated this a 4 stars. This is my least favorite in the quartet, which isn't really like a bad thing. It's just that it's very different from the first and second book. There's not a lot of action in here because we are following Bitter Blue, who Poe and Katza in the first book rescued, and she is the daughter of the king who kind of had this like really tyrannical control over their country, and so she became queen at 10 years old, and then we're following her 8 years now after the events of that on the first book, and now she's queen. She's been really trying to hold the kingdom together. She's very young when she came into power, and there are a lot of things that she doesn't understand yet, and also things that are being kept from her, which is very frustrating. I was frustrated throughout this book because I realized just how much is being kept from her. Like, I can feel how much is being kept from her, and she just wants to be a really good queen and just bring the people to heal. But it's a very difficult, very sensitive, complicated kind of problem because of what happened to the entire country and to the people. So this one, we don't really get a lot of action from Bitter Blue because again, she is the queen, so we just hear a lot more of like people doing stuff for her and then reporting to her. So I kind of had that disconnect from the first and second book because the first and second books are so action packed and their main characters are like in the thick of the action. Bitter Blue, not so much. She tries to, but she's the queen. She's well protected, and she's being like overprotected by the people around her because they see her as their savior. Now she's the queen who has to heal this country, and so she has to be protected in a way. So 4 stars still. I really enjoyed this one. The romance is not the best. Again, I did just say the romance here is really good, but the first, second, and the fourth book, the romance are so good. Just this is my least favorite. So everything else is just a little bit, the romance not so much. The character is fine. I really like Bitter Blue. It's just that she's not. There's just so many things being kept from her that she doesn't like have a lot of growth. It's more like she finds things out when they're already done, and that she doesn't really like have the time to discover it on her own. She just finds out about it when it's already done, and it's like really frustrating for her. And I am angry on her behalf because she's a queen. Why would you keep things from her? Anyway, Winter Keep. This is the 4th book. This is the latest one. I really love this one. This one we're following much more characters, much more multiple POVs, because on the first 3 books we're only following our main character, not so much any other people. And then here we're following multiple POVs, and we are now in a different country with a different culture, with a different language, and it's like recently discovered that these countries exist, among each other. And we are also have Bitter Blue here, and this time the romance here is so good. I really loved it. I enjoyed the characters that we're following here. Some of the characters I didn't really like at first. Like, I realized that they're not very likable characters, especially in the beginning, because there's so much more growth that they're going to experience throughout the book. So I love it so much. So yeah, I really enjoyed Winter Keep. I really like it because it's so much more different from the first books. Because of the multiple POVs and like just the diversity that we have introduced here in this 4th book. Because the first 3 books, there's not a lot of diversity at all. This one, there's a lot more, and just the world is getting bigger, and so I'm very interested to see where this series is going to go. So I don't know if it's going to be just 4 series, because these are all mostly just companion novels. They're not very like story timeline, like Fire was set before Graceling, but Graceling, Bitter Blue, Winterkeep, they're all like moving forward a timeline. So I don't know where this is gonna go, but I really enjoyed rereading this series. All right, let's move to the next one. The next one it's not very surprising because everybody's just been rereading this book, the Shadow and Bone series. I remember this being called Grishaverse, and then I looked and it's now called Shadow and Bone. They changed the name of the trilogy. Anyway, Shadow and Bone. So I reread Shadow and Bone, Siege and Storm, Ruin Rising, and I remember rating these very highly. Like I look at my Goodreads and I have like, I think all of them in 5 stars, like 5, 4, 5 or something like that. I don't remember any of it. I don't. But I thought I would not like this as much as I did before, but I think it's held up. I don't remember my experience reading this one. I only see that, I have high ratings for this one, so I thought the ratings will go a little bit lower. They did, but not too much. I still really love this one, and I heard so many people say that Mal is so bad. I'm like, no, Mal is not bad. He's actually pretty okay. And I like Alina. I thought I wouldn't like her. The Darkling, why do we simp for the Darkling? Ben Barnes' Darkling is different, okay? Show Darkling he's okay. He's still bad. He's still evil. But Darklina, people that ship Darklina just reading the books, no, why? He's a murderer. Why? He's evil. Like, there's no redemption for him. No. Anyway, yeah, I really enjoyed reading this. If you want more thoughts for each of the books, I do have the vlog up already. And yeah, also, I love Nikolai. Nikolai is my favorite character. I like Mahalin, Alina, and Genya. I called Genya Genya. I thought it was Genya. And then I called Matthias, because that's how I'm used to pronouncing it, but it's Matthias in the show, and Genya is Genya in the show. Zoya, like the characters I really enjoyed. The plot was really good too. Like the first 2 books, the middle part, there's some parts, like the middle part right here, there's not a lot happening, so I wasn't, it was fine. I still really enjoyed the characters and the plot overall. So again, I really enjoyed this one, this reread. 5, I think I rated this one 4.5, 4, and 4.75. I mean, I think, 5, 4, 5. So, it doesn't have much of a different rating from the first time I read it. I still really enjoyed this one. But yeah, Shadow and Bone series. And yes, I have finished the show yesterday too. I kind of wanted it to kind of last longer, but it was so good. The show was so good. Okay. Alright, so the last book that I finished for this month is Six of Crows. Also, in the Grishaverse series, Grishaverse entire series. So this is the first book in the Six of Crows duology. I'm currently reading Crooked King. I'm almost done with it. I'm gonna finish it today. I rated this a 5 stars. This is so different from the first 3 books. The first 3 books I really liked, but this one I love. Like, this is so different. The writing is so different. We are following multiple POVs because here in the first book we're following mainly Alina. This is from her perspective. On this one, we're following 3rd person, but all of the characters, like all our important characters. And it just, right off the bat, I love Cass and Edge. Like, I feel like because I reread this one, I don't remember a lot of it, but I read it highly. We already knew, if you have read this book, we already knew, like, some of the things are gonna happen, and, like, the endgame people. And I love Cass and Edge. I love him so much. Like, I can, like, from the first book, like, oh, he's so in love with her, and she's obviously in love with him, but she already processed it and realized that, you know what, this probably isn't going to happen, but she's still pining for him. But he, on the other hand, is in denial. Like, he kind of knows that he loves her, but he realizes he's not good enough for her. This can't happen. This is not possible, but he loves her, and he's slowly kind of really realizing the extent of how much he cares for her. And I love it so much. I love it so much. Also, Jesper, I love him. Wylan. Well, we get more Wylan in Crooked Kingdom, but Wylan, Matthias, like the whole crew, I just love them so. Matthias and Nina, Matthias. Sorry, I keep saying Matthias because that's how I'm used to saying it. Matthias and Nina, I love them so much. Wylan and Jesper. Look, I'm not a big fan when, you have a group of people. This is a heist, okay? This is a heist book, pretty much. And I'm not a big fan when they're, like, the entire group has, like, couples. But this time, I love it. Like, it makes sense. Like, Kaz and Edge has always been, they've been a thing, okay? They don't realize that they're a thing to each other, but they're a thing. Matthias and Nina, they were already a thing. But, there's a lot of things happening in there, and I loved hearing their stories, and I love seeing, like, Matthias is, I can see why some people don't like him in the beginning, but I can already see how much I love him but I already love him like right from the beginning because I can realize how much he cares for Nina and how much how betrayed he felt, and I know from reading about him that there's so much growth in there, and they're gonna grow to love each other. And Nina, they're just perfect for each other. The grumpy, straight-laced Fjerdan with the flirtatious, beautiful Nina. It's so good. It's so good. I love it so much. And Kaz and Edge, the angst, and Wylan and Jesper too. They're so cute together, and I love how flustered Wylan gets when Jesper flirts with him, and I just love how Jesper loves seeing Wylan get flustered. I'm turning red. Can you see that? Oh my gosh. Anyway, I really love this one. And Cooking Kingdom, I'm loving it so much too because we're getting more of Kaz's perspective around Inej. Like, we see it more. Like, we see it a lot here. We see it more over there. Especially after what happened in the end. Okay. And again, I love them all so much. The growth that they're all going through, the pain and the suffering and all these things that are happening to them, but the way they're still, trying to stay together and be there for each other. I love this family so much. I love them all so much, individually, together, and as couples. And also, just the heights, it's so good. So good. So if you haven't read this one, please go read it. Read it. You don't have to necessarily read Shadow and Bone trilogy. Maybe just a little bit of an understanding of the Grisha world. But yes. But again, I would say read Shadow and Bone trilogy and then get into Six of Crows. And now I'm very tempted to read Tale of Scars and Rule of Wolves. I wasn't planning on getting to that duology, but now, because I love Nikolai. He's my favorite character in the Shadow and Bone trilogy. This one, who is my favorite? I love all of them. But I think the girls are top-notch, okay? Like Inej, Nina, they're top-notch. Also Wylan, you have to protect him. But I just love all of them. Even Matthias, I love him so much. He's like a big bear. I love him so much. Anyway, I'm getting so worked up in this one. Oh. We made good time. Excuse me. So again, if you want to hear more of my discussion video, me talking about in depth about the Shadow and Bone trilogy, I will link it somewhere here, maybe at the end of this video. Excuse me. I got really worked up with Six of Crows. I just love them so much. Okay. Had a really good reading month, can you tell? I don't reread a lot of books. This is a very diverse reading month for me because one, I read a non-fiction, which I don't read a lot of non-fictions, and then I did a reread of 3 different series, which I never reread, by the way. Like, I've read this 2016, 2017. Graceling I read, 2015? Maybe earlier, 2012. It's been so long. And I haven't reread them, even though I love them. This is the first time in 5 years, 10 years. I never reread. I rarely reread books. But I did it this month, and I'm very happy, and I'm very excited for the next month. I will be doing a TBR for next month because it is a special month. I will be joining the Asian Readathon, and yeah, I will be doing a TBR on that, which I'll be filming after this one. So yes, thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. Again, I will be linking the videos here that you need to watch for the Shadow and Bone wrap-up. But yeah, that is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you on my next one. Bye.